remember him performing on was the Callista, much more of a 2v2 champion. We still see someone like Sungyun messing around with it, but Stitch being in the lineup is an insane curveball for Game 2.
Okay, so they're going to ban out the Aurelion Soul first. That fell all the way through picks and bans in Game number 1.
All right, interesting that KT is banning the Echo against Helper.
Well, I mean, it was one of the few champions that he's played, I suppose, so trying to just see what he's got, you know? Varus banned out against Crown as well. Trundle banned against KT.
One unique champion that Helper had that QV hasn't played is the Rumble, which can work against picks like the Shen that Someday was prioritizing in the last series. Is also one of those relatively safe top laners, so that's the big pick for Helper, will be the Rumble.
Tom Kench banned, so that Gangplank is available for Samsung if they want to take it.
QV out of the lineup, so they, I guess, play with fire a little bit, and that means that maybe we'll see Sumday's first game on Gangplank of the season.
Would be a treat to see Someday on that pick, considering that KT has basically been uniformly banning it in all their matches. They banned it 2 games on Saturday against Samsung, and it hasn't been something that KT has shown any inclination for whatsoever.
So Talia is also available for KT. Samsung banned out the Talia in game number 1, chose to ban the Aurelion Soul instead in game number 2.
And having the GP Talia combo is such a global powerhouse and really does fit right into KT's style.
Is it worth grabbing both right now, picking that mid laner so early?
I don't think so. I think Fly has some other choices for what he can do, and Someday is just spelling out KT with champions. And will be the GP, but maybe they go for the Talia pick.
All right, I mean, it's a pretty safe mid laner either way, and they are going to do it. Wow, GP and Talia, that is a strong duo for KT early on.
So will Crown go for the Vladimir that we know he's been playing recently, or will it be the Malzahar that somehow fell through picks and bans? There was a very slight Malzahar nerf on this patch, but even those small nerfs in the previous 2 patches haven't really changed the fact that he is quite oppressive in lane.
Well, the Vlad didn't work out for Samsung very well in their last meeting with KT, and that was only 5 days ago, so, or not even 5 days ago.
Lissandra is another pick that makes it through, that has been very powerful. Lissandra also
That's a good point.
Would be able to tie up the Talia. Be a good lane to gank for the Rek'Sai.
Always looks attractive when there's a GP on the other side, though, because you can get out of that Lissandra ultimate. Same thing with Malzahar, because they can actually clear suppression. So, GP not a very viable target. Alistar and Ashe. And we had a few questions about how many Alistars we'd be seeing on a patch that is more about standard lanes.
But riddle me this, you bringing in a new AD carry and you pick Ashe again. That's what Samsung would decide to do. I think Ruler is a fantastic Ashe player.
Very good.
We thought it was a champion pool issue, but it's going to go back to the Ashe well again.
That is interesting.
It's going to have a lot less protection this time with the Tom Kench banned out. Fly picking the Elise for score, not a surprise. That has been really prioritized for score this season. See the Braum pick for Achani.
Wraith is 5-1 on Alistar this season. Was his best pick in spring as well, so a practice champion at least. KT, the Braum would be the reliable choice against the Ashe.
Taric Elise.
But the thing about the Taric is that when we know we're getting standard lanes, the Alistar actually opens up the Taric pick, because you're basically saying, okay, neither of us are going to have very lane-dominant champion duos, which is a weird choice for this patch. One would have to think, and this is maybe a bit too much comfort, but when Achani has been able to get that Taric, he put up numerous MVP performances during the regular season on the Taric, and when you can protect Someday's GP with invincibility, that's pretty devastating.
But turn that around, Monte Cristo. Let's think aggressive, because Achani was great with those turret dives. Talia coming in on the Weaver's Wall, Cannon Barrage, and guess what? Your team's invulnerable as well. That sounds like some pretty sick turret dives. And we talked about standard lanes. Okay, maybe there's going to be less of those teleport plays because there's not going to be turrets down. There can still be those turret dives, and KT have a dirty turret dive comp.
And do you maybe add a Jhin onto this? What's an 80 parry, 80 carry pick? You kill it. 80 parry. That sounds like a League of Legends pop star, doesn't it? 80 carry pick. 80 parry. Wow. I've just invented a parody act.
That's great.
Well, Doa, we laughed through your misfortune, and it was going to be the Jhin that you mentioned, so you at least were on the ball there.
There we go.
There's that long-range damage, so why not the Jhin to wrap people up? Won't be helping in the turret dives.
There's a Rumble that we suspected for Helper as well.
I don't know if I suspected it into GP.
Papa Smithy suspected it. He's like, well, they're just going to play Helper, so they pick Rumble.
I mean, if you're going to play Helper, he's probably going to play Rumble. This is the one pick that he plays that's unique from QV. The laning matchup can be very, very painful against the Gangplank. Now, it's good early. For a melee champion to actually be able to go toe-to-toe with a GP in the early laning phase isn't a trivial thing. So you have to imagine that it's not going to be a lot of health. Maybe you itemize a Hex Drinker as the Gangplank, but Rek'Sai and Rumble can explode a Gangplank early.
Yeah, and that's what they have to do because Samsung, they've got the Lissandra, they have the Rumble and the Ashe, so they've got strong team fighting in the mid game, but if this goes late, I would not want to be a Proto Belt Rumble walking into a billion GP barrels.
Yeah, I would agree.
Now, when he played the top lane Rumble, he never built the Proto Belt. It was the old build. It was like the Rylai's and the Zonias. So may not actually be the Proto Belt that Smeb's been favoring on the Rumble.
Well, problem with that is I think you lack late game damage if you're going to be building more for tankiness and survivability. So regardless, Samsung, great composition to work with in the mid game, have strong engage, but QSS here is going to absolutely wreck Samsung in the later stages of this game. So they've got to go hard and get that lead. Otherwise, KT is going to have so many different tools just to poke them out before they can even start a team fight.
A lot of questions going into this one, especially on the roster side of Samsung. Can they tie up this series, or will KT jump out to a 2-0 lead? Let's get in the game and find out. Ocean Drake. Welcome to Summoner's Rift again. Samsung versus KT Rolster. Samsung fans not giving up on their team. They've made the playoffs. They've made the second round of the playoffs even.
I figured it out. They're using
What?
Stitch for the synergy with our in-between match song.
Ah.
Right? So
Yeah.
we have, yes, it's called Stitches, Doa.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. I am not very observant.
I'm so excited about this game. Game one, you know, that kind of went predictably after the draft. It was going to be slow. We're going to wait for the team fighting phase. The moment level 6 rolls around, whether it's the Weaver's Wall or the Lissandra with teleport, the Taric ult as well, the Ashe ultimate, we could have some explosive skirmishes 4v4 in this game.
Yeah, they did at least force Fly to take the cleanse in this game against the Lissandra. Hide.
Look out. It's okay. We can still see your KT Rolster fans. That's the issue. Bumper.
No, you actually, you want to put the sign on the camera, not above it.
Bumper.
Show us your sign.
All right. I just want to know why his shirt said bumper. Sometimes shirts say things in Korean. We don't really know why.
You have a shirt that says hamburger.
I do. I love that shirt. It's just a T-shirt with a picture of a hamburger. It just says hamburger on it. I mean, it really doesn't get any more simple and beautiful than that for T-shirts, does it? The answer is no, it doesn't.
You're just repping food.
What can I say? I mean, people see an American, what do they expect? Hamburger.
Just living up to the stereotypes. Good work, Doa.
There you go. Well, I eat hamburgers responsibly. That's the difference.
How do you eat hamburgers responsibly?
You don't eat 5 of them in one sitting.
Oh. What's the sweet spot, 3 or 4?
I think 1 generally.
Call yourself American.
Oh, Chani going for the dazzle. And you'd have to imagine this Jhin Taric duo would have maybe a little bit of an edge early on.
Well,
What do you think?
I think it's just a matter of getting both these melee supports through the laning phase. It should be pretty much even. And the poke for both Jhin and Ashe pretty good, so we're not going to see too much action down there as Score takes the blue buff, so not going to go for any exciting 3-minute ganks here. Maybe crab focused instead.
I think the laning phase is actually really good for Ashe Alistar. It's just the level 1 is the discrepancy. Level 1 Dazzle with the ability for 2 chain stuns versus the Alistar who had skilled Pulverize. The Alistar's kind of just completely weak in lane till 2 and probably level 3. I think when all 3 skills are available and the extra range from the Ashe, I think Ashe Alistar will have lane dominance. Because Chani understanding, level 1's probably our best spot till level 6. So try to get aggression and get some health out of and potions out of the Alistar and Ashe early.
2 chains, huh? 2 chains? You said 2 chains? Sad.
2 Chains.
2 Chains. I think it's Tarek's rapper name. Pretty sure. Tarek 2 Chains McDazzleton.
He's a Scotsman then, the McDazzleton.
I guess so. I don't know.
He's a fabulous Scotsman.
It's going after the hamburger thing, I guess. Well, slow. Slow and quiet. Early game number 2.
Rumble was seen as a GP counter pick way back when in the top lane. Because of things like this, level 4 is really powerful for the Rumble.
Yeah, whoa, someday getting very low.
Again, once the barrels and the Trinity Force come through, Gangplank will have great options from range, but early game is really punishing for the Gangplank.
This is what Samsung was hoping for.
It is, again, just all about what Samsung can do with their team fighting in the mid game. It's a bit of a bummer for Samsung that it's going to be an Ocean Drake first, because obviously ever since the Elemental Drake changes come through, you are more at the mercy of which Drake it is that's going to spawn, because if you get lucky and you get a couple of Infernal Drakes with this composition, you're going to be feeling really good, but Ocean Drake not going to kind of do you any favors in the time that you can really force fights, and it's going to give KT some breathing room to scale out here.
It has to be the bot lane, though. It has to be big visits. We're going to see one potentially right now, but
Yeah.
KT have so much initiation for bot lane.
Crowd's not even level 6, so this is a very early roam.
Yeah, they're going to get spotted by the ward, and I guess they're going to roam right back up to mid lane now.
We're talking about Ashe, Alistair, and Lissandra entering lane. Hella, Flash and Burrow will help as well. There's so much wombo engagement. Without that Braum, there is no clean answer for the arrow on the side of KT in the duo lane.
Yeah, problem is, though, you can't do it prior to all of those champions really hitting 6. And it was
They just got excited, okay, Monty? They're scoping it out. They're like, all right, this is the bot lane. Okay, this is where we'll come.
I like how you referred to it as a visit. That's a very like pleasant way of describing somebody coming to kill somebody else.
How do you know they were there to kill anyone, Doe? Why are you always thinking about killing?
I mean, because that's just the way the game is, you know? You don't come to the bot lane to say hi. You come to say die. Yeah.
Important difference between the two. Important, subtle difference.
That's right.
always thinking about killing Doa. I think we need to commit you soon.
Hamburgers and killing. That's Doa.
I found a good career for it, you know? League of Legends caster. Well, you got to kill something to have a hamburger. Well, until they grow them. Uh-oh, that's kind of rough. Someday in trouble. Flashes, and he is indeed dead. First blood goes over to Ambition. Score a little bit late to the party.
And here's a switch up in the lanes. They're going to try and get that first brick.
Yeah, look at the time. It's
That's
6
right.
minutes 20, so the reinforcements, the 50% damage reduction is down. We were wondering, would teams basically lane till 5 minutes and lane swap? And this is the first answer.
Yeah, Score's in trouble now. Wraith coming in for the headbutt, the pulverize, and that's another kill for Samsung. As soon as he comes out, he's never coming down!
Ignite!
Where'd he go? Oh, he's just behind the turret, never mind.
It was ejected into space by the
guess so.
Alistair. There's a spider in orbit right now, but with that, just a Score was caught up there in a long time by the chain of crowd control and ended up dying before he could get that repel, or at least getting the ignite down, so he died during the repel. KT get a match right now, so it won't be that first brick as we see teams switch up on the opposite side of the map. Now, Samsung did lose a bit of gold in farm to the tier 1 turret on the bottom side. As a result of that play, someday going to try and get a nice chunk of parlay gold, a couple barrels.
Certainly will.
The mini waves actually in top and bot are both in disadvantageous positions. Rumble entered bot and had to leave, so for now we do see the lane pushing into Someday. Fitch is able to enter lane in top even without his Alistair though.
I like the idea from Samsung at the very least. Setting up that timing for the kill into the top lane onto Someday, using the advantage in that matchup, and then trying to push it straight into the first turret of the game. But KT responding quickly, but still a couple kills. That's a nice advantage.
Yeah. Works for now. We did see Samsung getting a nice advantage in game number 1. It didn't end up helping too much. Ambition coming from behind onto Someday. There's
so
the equalizer going down. Yeah, I don't think Someday's getting out of this without a flash. GG, and Someday already dying twice to the ganks in lane.
There's not really anything you can do about that, though, if you're KT, besides have Score play around you more and try and answer these ganks, because he had no flash, he had no cannon barrage, and with the Deathfire touch on Helper's Rumble, it's just really easy to make those plays in conjunction with the Tiamat Rek'Sai.
Oh, Ambition did not get
He
that
didn't get it.
buff. No.
Score did.
I mean, when the ult specifically is down, there's no reason for Score to come in, otherwise it's going to be a double kill. Gangplank provides nothing at level 7 with no ultimate, so it is needed Ambition to not go for the pathing, but credit Ambition. He's been the proactive early game jungler, and Score's only got a death to his name, so nice early start from Samsung.
Yeah. You know, that said, though, Someday's been keeping up on his CS, and the Gangplank can certainly die a couple times early on and still be a beast late game, so I don't think KT is too concerned about this yet.
Yeah, exactly, Noah. It doesn't really matter if the GP dies as long as he's not getting denied farm in the early game. Certainly, it's great for Samsung. They get that extra gold, and that's what they need to snowball this game in the mid game, so helpful, but we've seen these Gangplanks get solo killed in lane, die 3-4 times, time and time again, and they still manage to do insane late game damage.
Yep.
When you're saying these Gangplanks include someone like Duke, who was solo killed 3 times by ADD in the SKT MVP match and still did big damage in the late game. Helper will get out of this.
Scoring chase, GPL drop though. Helper has Fly, there he goes. Fly picks up the first kill of the game for his Taliyah.
And are they going to get the first brick gold? If Someday can get solo gold on a turret, they're going to be extraordinarily happy. Ambition is not in position to really stop this. And Curtain Ball is going to be dropped.
Oh, Asher Awanda Hachani though. Arrow trying to save his support, but he's not going to be able to. Hachani survives for just a moment, but a moment is not long enough. So who's going to get that first turret? It looks like it's probably still going to go to Someday. Well, I don't know. It's going to be close. Oh, first brick. It's so important now, but Samsung's going to get it.
Yeah, they have 3 people and also the minion wave. It's going to be huge.
Yeah. Casual 300 gold onto the 3 people pushing in is very significant.
Helper does have to be careful now, though.
He can ult the wave if he needs to stop it pushing in, but with Someday backing away, turret will stay alive.
Yeah, he's got a good amount of gold to spend. He's got to be getting pretty close to this Trinity Force by now. And he's got that 30 CS lead, rather. Oh, we're getting boots instead.
A little bit short, so we'll just have to leave it for now. Yeah, Helper started with the Seeker's Arm Guard. Not necessarily going to see the rush on the Zonias, but it was Rylai's Zonias' early core and also the Haunting guys in the last time we saw him play Rumble.
Yeah.
Repping it old school.
True enough. Not seen coming into lane either.
Actually quite hard to do given how many wards are down.
That is sneaky.
He's recalling though, so not going to really use that. Crown going after Fly. Fly gets ulted. Got to be careful here. Still has that flash. Whoa! Flash for flash. Crown under the turret though. Score goes in. Nice cocoon. Locking it up. Crown over pursuing, and he paid for it.
That was so greedy from Crown.
Yeah.
He tried to flash W the Taliyah, and Ambition was there to try and back him up, but no respect for where Score could be on the map. Score just hits him with a flash cocoon and manages to use his range spells to finish off that kill.
And that range on the W is actually very short. I'm pretty sure he missed it to begin with.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, not to mention Fly still had his flash, so.
That was super greedy.
Yeah, it's a lot to assume that the mid laner is going to just completely miss it. GPL drop down Ambition. Might need another barrel here. Nope, gets out of it just in time, but that does help KT push up this mid lane. Might be able to get their first turret.
Samsung doing a really good job of just reassigning lanes and keeping Stitch and Wraith forward and pushing down these turrets.
I mean, there's nothing Jhin and Turret can do to answer the Ashe, who has the different range wave clear options. The Q and auto attack from Jhin are not enough. We're going to see the replay. Watch for the flash.
Yeah, does he get the W?
That's
no.
just
No,
that's
just
nowhere near.
Not even
He
close.
just straight up missed it.
Oh, and then the minion. Well, that's what you get.
He was like 300 units short of actually hitting the W.
Yeah, it was. The flash was late from Fly, but in any case, that was a sloppy play there from Crown. And you just don't need to go in on that, right? You can just continue to force these skirmishes and not try and outplay somebody 1v1.
I mean, consider what he did. He blew the enemy's cleanse for just the cost of his ultimate and forced him out of lane. That's a win already. Doesn't have teleport to get back to mid lane, get some chip damage, but greed was there from Crown.
Very true. Samsung's still putting a lot of pressure on this bot lane, though.
No deep wards anymore, so the threat of someone coming in is not there. The Gangplank hold is down as well, so free to just harass and get this turret super low.
Score nearby in case Samsung wants to try anything.
They just want to force him away from the turret, though.
Yep, I think so.
And right now, it's just about concentrating farm for KT onto Someday. They're giving up objectives so that Someday can remain unharassed and maintain his CS advantage, which is healthy already on the GP.
Yeah, Helper actually just pings level 9. Someday's been 10 for a while, so just experience in terms of waves gotten to. Despite the kills, Helper's been denied.
All right, curtain call. Ambition takes the blue buff, but Fly's right there to take it back. Oh, Crown zoning, though. Looks like Ambition's going to live, just barely. Ooh, that was close.
It was very close, but still blue buff. Taken away by Samsung. They get the bottom tower too. And that leaves them with a nearly 3,000 gold lead. Someday the one they're trying to supercharge as normal. And this looks a lot like KT that we saw during the season. Someday takes an enormous amount of gold in the mid game after 15 minutes as a percentage of his team's farm.
Yeah.
So they really just like to power him up, and it's the right call. KT knows that even if they're 5K back, they can fight in the late game with this team composition. It's about getting the GP online early.
I mean, we know this Talia is going to do a ton of damage too. Wraith a little bit stopped up here, but he'll be okay. Doesn't even need to use the ultimate. But yeah, I mean, KT is going to have so much damage late.
Aegis is such an important item for KT. Have to expect Score picking up soon. Speaking of Score,
all right, well, GPL dropped, forcing the flash from Stitch, gets dazzled, gets dead. And KT picks up another kill. Helper teleports in. Wraith right there, gets a double pulverizing.
Nice equalizer.
Right, yeah, good equalizer. Setting up another dazzle, though. Achani barely living
comes Crown.
With that invulnerability.
Oh,
Helper
boy.
on the side, and here comes Crown, like you said, to try to clean this one up. But not before Someday picks up a kill. And KT trying to back away. Arrow needs to be careful. W after the E as Crown tries to make a play, ults himself to stay alive. That allows Helper to come in to pick up maybe a double. No, just a single as Fly is still alive, and KT turns the fight around. So close, but KT wins it in the end, and that is 3 kills onto Someday now, and a turret. Huge, whoa, Ash Arrow. That might very well have been a kill on the Fly if that had connected.
And that was such a good flash there attempt from Helper. He got 3 very low people inside his Flame Spitter, but the real hero of that fight was Hachani, and a perfectly timed Taric ultimate on top of the equalizer.
I mean, Stitch, there were so many people around the red buff. Stitch should have known that there was going to be a turret dive coming through, so it's already going to be a 5v4 at best. The equalizer here, though, is beautiful to see, and Hachani almost dives straight up to it. The ult only just registers. The Cosmic Radiance only comes through right at the end. And at this point, it looks like Crown's going to be zoned. You're like, all right, the team fight's finished, but Helper is very smart here. He understands, even after Crown takes his whole health bar, he gets into the danger zone, and with so many low members, this could have easily been a triple, but only ends up being a double, and Fly zoned on super low HP.
Whoa.
Wow.
Someday, he's got the double buffs. No one can actually collapse onto him. They will take the fight, but man, could have swung the other way in just a small amount.
What a great play. I mean, even in a losing team fight, the read
more
from Helper.
All right, Score and Achani definitely in some trouble here, but the curtain call comes in. Did I say trouble? Never mind. Achani picks up a kill. Achani flashes over the wall, and Score, the one kind of left on his own, and looks like KT going to give one over to Samsung, but in the end, a little bit nicer to get that kill on the Helper.
Score has picked up the Aegis that's so necessary against the double AP. They're pushing up to Stitch, though.
Yeah, GPL dropped onto Stitch. Oh wow, what a play from Fly. Easy pickup there for KT, and they're going to get Wraith too. His ultimate not enough to keep him alive. And KT going to follow this up with some pressure on either the Dragon or the mid-range turret, or mid-lane turret, mid-range turret.
Well, Fly has been clutch with those bumps from Talia in that last team by barely surviving by getting the Rumble out of position, and that time around, just fishing Stitch out from underneath the turret. But before that play happened, once again we saw the Rumble dying, we saw Helper die, and where was Someday? Oh, he was farming in the bottom lane. Now we have an advantage that is over 60 CS. We're looking at a very real, maybe 25-minute flame horizon. And KT, they just continue to get a little bit more farm here and there and expand their advantages. Now they've come back from a deficit. Now they have a gold lead, and they're going to be more powerful in the late game.
Consider what KT does. They don't look for early turrets. They don't look for early drakes. They look for gold on Someday, and even after dying twice in lane, they understood that they could still set up at the cost of the 2 early turrets, Someday getting a big CS advantage, and we know he's going to put that to good use later in the game. And one other point is Stitch. You know, he does look like a guy who's been out of competitive play for 4 or 5 months because he's pushing up, much like Ruler has been criticized for in previous series, and overextending and dying.
Oh, speaking of overextending, Ambition finds himself a bit alone in the jungle, able to tunnel through that wall. Fly drops it immediately. There's a curtain call, though. Could be a problem. Nice block from Wraith on some of that damage, but he may pay for it. Arrow picks up another kill, and wow, the cocoon into the deadly flourish, into the kill for Fly. KT just tearing Samsung apart.
I didn't even have to have the cannon barrage up for that play either. Fly again, great presence on the map, setting up that Weaver's wall. And you see the synergy, just the lockdown from the cocoon and the deadly flourish combo. The dazzle follow-up leaves Samsung with really nowhere to go after getting pushed out of lane. So
there is so much hard CC on KT. That's something we haven't really touched on yet, but they can lock you down for a long time.
So can Samsung, but again, we see Stitch walking up, trying to be a bro, help out his Alistair. He doesn't have the tools to do that. He's just a humble Ashe and dies for the bonus kill, and now the Drake over to KT.
First Drake of the game here at 19 minutes, so late, but no priority. And there we go.
Oh,
there's going to be the priority. Infernal Drake has number 2, and Samsung really needs that one. They really need that one. They will be, at least in terms of their composition, in a prime place, but you have to think with a nearly 4,000 gold deficit that this is probably KT's game to lose.
Well, this after KT was down themselves about 3,000 gold in the early game, so it's like a 7,000 gold swing in just the last 5 minutes or so.
But this is why you don't give KT, Talia, and Aurelion Sol, because they know how to come back by playing around, pushing more minion waves and farming more minion waves than you do. And Fly is still, he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's able to make these cross-map plays efficiently so that not only are they farming more, but they can turn fights on their head and get the kills too.
KT are just that sort of team where if you offered them a situation where they could have a 5,000 gold disadvantage but a 1,000 gold advantage on their top laner in the early game, they'd probably take it because that's how they set up, that's how they know how to play. Whether it's the Gangplank top or the Maokai, they always prioritize someday getting big, and they found a way to do that even at the cost of early objectives for Samsung.
Very true. 70 CS lead, a little bit above that for Someday now on that Gangplank.
It's just ludicrous to think of how the early game went, and now we're already talking about a 25-minute flame horizon for Someday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was dived, he was denied, and he's back.
Crown caught by Someday.
Weaver's wall.
Yeah, Weaver wall comes in. Crowd flashes over it, or it gets over with the E rather. Ults himself. May not live through this, so Zonius comes through. Ashe Arrow barely misses. Could be big. Crown manages to get out for the moment. But KT can keep chasing. Ambition, the one in trouble now. Over the wall they go. KT still chasing, looking to pick up that kill on Ambition. He tunnels away for the moment.
Nice
KT
retreat.
Still chasing. Yeah, nice retreat, but here comes score rather with the flash cocoon. And
Meanwhile,
Someday gonna grab that kill. Yep. Arrow quietly having a really good
GB.
game on this Jhin. I believe he's 3-0-7 at the moment, but he may be 3-1-7 very soon.
Nice play by Crown, actually. He's coming up, but they don't find him. He was sneaky.
Sneaky Jhin.
And Crown tries to make the counterplay after getting chunked out, nearly died.
Wow.
But Arrow just recalling in the dot brush in lane. Samsung's still looking for him.
Where is he?
Well, they know where he went now.
Yeah, they should know by now.
You look at this game and the roster swaps, you're like, well, Help has had a pretty good game, scoreline accepted.
All right, and Wraith caught again, has to pop that L-Star ult early. Nice knock back by Fly. Get him a little bit closer. Stitch there to add on some damage. Arrow looking for a deadly flourish, gonna go for the curtain call instead. They force a flash on the Stitch right away, and Wraith popped back by Fly. Arrow's not gonna kill him with the final shot of that ultimate, but KT chasing down Ambition yet again now. Gotta be careful. Helper does not have the equalizer though, so I guess they don't need to be as worried. Dazzle connects on Ambition. Helper forces Zonias that he's bounced back in by Fly. KT just has so many ways to kill you that Samsung, as we're seeing, you know, can poke in a little bit, but they can't really get anything done.
Well, and that didn't look like a big win from KT, but they blew so many flashes on the side of Samsung that there's not going to be any escape from the next fight that KT takes.
And even simpler, guess what Someday was doing the whole time they were blowing flashes? He was farming bottom. So
we're getting there, Papa. The 25-minute Flame Horizon is still on the table.
Has anyone died twice in lane then got a 25-minute Flame Horizon?
It's disgusting. I mean, the way that KT sets up around Someday. And it's fun, too, because he hasn't played the GP all season.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that you specify what we're excited about. It's not that Someday got the sick farm because he's a great farmer. It's because KT, as a team, are smart at setting up around Someday. So it's recognizing KT's ability to set up for Someday to go big on a top lane carry rather than necessarily Someday's laning prowess.
Totally.
I really do think it's a credit to the coaching staff over the last year to really realize what their strengths are as a team. Fly coming in this year and playing more of a utility or wave clear role, but as long as he's the player who has a great sense of where to be on the map and win, he's managed to make it work, and they've picked up these weird pocket picks like Aurelion Sol that no one else in this league plays because it caters to KT's style so well.
Yeah. It's an offbeat champion pool, but these are picks that are so hard to prep against because when you scrim, no one else plays them. When you solo queue, no one else really plays. There's a lot of underplayed champions. So Fly, whether it's the edge of the inexperienced enemy teams have or just his mastery over, I think together, it gives KT a big advantage.
Oh boy, Deadly Flourish after the cocoon again onto Ambition. Gets out with the tunnel. KT takes a big chunk out of him. A minute until that Infernal Drake comes up. That's going to be where KT is going to want to put the map pressure on next. Stitch. Oh boy, goodbye. Oh man. Yep, and guess what? Taliyah does a lot of damage too.
They're so good at setting up that combo.
Yeah, no kidding. With the 80 carry out of the way too, now they can push up this mid lane. And they can catch Ambition again. Not a lot that Samsung looks to be able to do in this game.
Well, Sunday's first game is gameplay this season.
Oh, all right. Weaver's Wall comes through.
Just
going to block him off to take the turret. Yeah, that's right.
Playing Horizon, we are 6 CS away from it, Monty.
It's all right. He's taking blue buff, so it'll happen soon.
Not going to get it in 25 minutes, though.
Oh.
He had one job Sunday.
He had three
CS.
off.
He was 3 away.
Damn it.
So close.
He's going to get it now, though.
From the wave, yeah. Took the Grump, just devouring the enemy jungle at the moment.
Yeah, wait for it. As KT goes for the Infernal Drake here, and there it is. Flame Horizon, 25-21. So only 20 seconds off, not bad. And KT takes like the easiest Infernal Drake in the world again.
Well, there was no choice really there for Samsung.
Yep.
Stitch just coming back up.
And this is, I feel like this is kind of what we were worried about. That, game 1 was a bit close early on. Game 2, though, a complete stop fest.
I mean,
favor of KT.
This was an 0-2-0 Gangplank that is now Flame Horizon, is 4-2-4, and has 3 items at 25 minutes.
Yep.
There is no coming back from this right now. GP is so strong.
Yeah. The Stitch switch has been a problem for Samsung this game.
You feel for Helper, though. Helper's been good despite the scoreline. His laning phases understand of his limits in team fights.
Yep.
It's just that Stitch has been too far up. He seems inexperienced against the ranges from the Taliyah and just where you're safe on the map, and that makes sense. He hasn't played all season.
Well, to be fair, too, it's very hard not to get picked off by KT's composition when there's a Cocoon, a Deadly Flourish, and the knockback from Taliyah.
Fly doesn't need any help from anybody, apparently, to just kill the Ashe. All right. Baron control time. Exciting, isn't it?
It's the best.
I can't help but look forward. I see a series like this, specifically Game 2, the smart setup from KT, some of the individual players, and this looks like a KT team that can beat SKT, but really I know Monty especially has said that probably more than any other person in the world. So it actually happening will be, we have to wait for the actual KT celebration.
I have said that a lot.
I think, like we've said many seasons past, on paper, yeah, it looks like they can beat SKT, but then again, you say never bet on SKT, or I say never bet on SKT, or bet against SKT rather.
Yeah, pretty different thing to say.
I'm usually right. Usually right. Call.
Who we hit?
Goes for Crown. Zones out Ambition a little bit too.
Meanwhile,
never bet against SKT. Although you might be tempted to again this time. KT certainly looking like a team that can give SK Telecom a run for their money.
4 levels ahead of the Rumble that killed him twice in lane.
That is insane.
4 levels.
And that's the strength of KT, right? They don't have the star power of SK Telecom, but they do have the coordination. Goodbye.
You're dead.
Johnny was giving him the hammer.
Ambition shows up. Flashes back in the lane. Fly finds him, though. That Weaver's Wall blocked off Ambition for a little while. Gets a knock up. Equalizer comes down. It hits
Nice
a lot
equalizer.
of members of KT. It is, but there's no follow-up for Samsung.
I mean,
So
there's a locket, there's magic resist, there's experience, there's health. Unfortunately, you could hit the 5-man equalizer, they could chill on it, dance like the KT Bullets of old, and still get away.
No equalizer, mid and jungle down. Going to be an easy Baron for KT Rolster. Samsung deciding probably wisely not even to contest. And KT Rolster looking like they're going to cruise to victory here, already about 12,000 gold ahead after being 3K down earlier.
Just insane how fast they came back.
You know, you think about the fact that, you know, some days now 120 CS up. Consider that its mid lane is even, despite how much extra, or just a couple of CS behind, despite how much pressure Tilly has had. And Arrow's been the one to sacrifice CS. He's 50 behind his opponent, despite not dying and his opponent dying 4 times. And again, that's just rotations to get someday ahead, and that's just what KT does.
Yeah, and the answer has been, as we see, a result of what? Like 70 CS that have been picked up by KT that have just vanished for Samsung.
Very true. KT with that Baron buff now can just kind of push wherever they want. And where they want to push right now is all 3 lanes.
There's such a ridiculous advantage between these two teams now. The Gangplank was always going to be the prized scaler on the side. You don't talk about scaling. He's already a raid boss himself.
Yep.
He's where many Gangplanks can only dream of being. You know, we talk about GP, and even though when he gets behind, he can come online by maybe 30 minutes, but
well, maybe he's dead now.
Oh, maybe he is
equalizer,
dead now.
yeah. He's going to flash, going to get knocked up, knocked back, knocked out of the game for the moment, but
Takes
that's
one
a
with
kill
him.
in the end anyway. Yeah, he takes the 80 carry with him. That's a pretty big pickup. Achani and Score coming down in the 2v4
Oh!
Nice wall from Fly. Beautiful setup here as KT comes in to win this team fight. Crown gets in the back lines, but not able to do a whole lot on that Lissandra. Zonia is after he ults. Gonna get taken out anyway. There's a double kill for Arrow. Fly has to flash out of the turret damage. Score in the back lines. Wow, just going ham on these elites. Goes in for the execute on the helper. Why not grab another one onto Ambition? Nice cocoon. And Ambition will live for the moment. But KT looking like they may be ready to finish this one off right here. Although, Stitch coming up in 5, yeah, they can't quite end it yet.
With the 80 carry up and 2 low members, I think it's smarter just to back off right now.
Yeah.
Maybe could have ended the game, but it's just not worth the risk.
Well, they caught someday.
Well,
He really does the Stitch. Oh, hi. Thanks for putting me next to
He's
your
full
AD
health,
carry.
remember, and then dies to 2 autos and 1 hit from the cannon barrage.
I mean, Wraith was just like a Gangplank delivery system right on this Stitch there. That was some anti-support there.
Gets on top of Arrow, but is not doing any damage, especially onto Hachani, who had already popped that Taric ultimate. Score flashes forward, misses the cocoon, but they're still able to get a dive. They have to back off as Helper uses Zonia's, but the Randuin's Omen enough to help them catch up to Helper eventually, especially with that deadly flourish, and they do leave Ambition alone underneath the 2 Nexus turrets. Fly now deathless in this game alongside Arrow.
Yeah, Arrow's been having a fantastic game on that Jhin. On the other side, Stitch 1-5-2. So a bit of a perplexing roster decision by Samsung here in a playoff match.
I just feel like this means they have no idea how to beat KT.
Like
this is when you're just throwing darts randomly at a dartboard with your players' faces on it.
It looks
Now
like
consider
giving
this.
up.
I can think of an interesting 3rd game where they do have a 3rd AD carry, guys. Core JJ's listed as support. I bet he could also play AD carry in the next game.
He was known to play AD carry once in a while back in the day.
He has switched over to support, though, and that would be, I think, the last straw, because Wraith really does, and we've confirmed this in interviews with Samsung, play such a huge part of Samsung's shot calling that when we see Core JJ play, it's not just that Core JJ, who, you know, he seemed to be okay, but the shot calling really did fall apart for Samsung in those
No,
games.
you don't get it, Monty. He could just play AD carry. Core
Okay,
JJ
all right.
could play AD carry, theoretically.
I'm sure they've been working on that.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta wonder what's gonna happen here. As far as Samsung's roster's next game, as KT comes in for an easy team fight, blows up Crown right away. Great Weaver's Wall again for Fly, just wrapping up Wraith and Ambition, allowing KT to move in and take out that inhibitor turret.
This Cosmic Radiance early could just stand on the equalizer, not take damage, didn't even have to wait for a minion wave, and another inhibitor for KT Rolster.
Yeah, do you try to end here? Yeah, you might. Ambition's so low. Cocoon on Wraith. I suppose you can do your due diligence and take
You try
all
for
the turrets.
Yeah, you just try for 3 inhibitors, and then you push as far as you can go. There's no threat that they take anything. Drake and Baron are down, so you see if you can end, but you don't overcommit.
Let's reflect here. Samsung got first brick. They got 2 kills on Sunday early on, and now here we are at 33 minutes with KT just in a massive lead. Flash, double dazzle. Oh boy. Nice engage comes in for KT, and that is going to be more than enough to finish off Samsung. Wow, Helper just disappeared. And Crown comes back to life only to die again. Eventually, he will. There we go. And that is it. KT with a very convincing game number 2, and you gotta imagine it's gonna be a quick series. GG.
I think the fact is that KT showed that they can just comprehensively macro better than Samsung.
Oh, yeah.
And sure, probably a part of that is throwing in less experienced players in Stitch and Helper that may not know proper lane assignments. But in the end, KT, again, with the overwhelming map pressure, and whether it's the Aurelion Sol or whether it's the Talia, they just have so many ways to continue to shove minion waves and to just farm more.
Yeah, Samsung, nice early laning phase. I liked Helper coming in. He was convincing on the Rumble, but as you say, the macro play is just something that Samsung, unfortunately, they were shadowing KT at every opportunity. We saw this with Ambition and Scorer last time. This was just the whole team being out-rotated, watching Someday accrue huge leads. They were skirmishing 4v5 and having Someday pick up that empty farm. And that 25-minute, or just after 25-minute Flame Horizon lets you know, after that early laning phase, just how much KT outplayed Samsung on a map basis.
I mean, what can you say? KT just a better team, and look at that. Everybody, literally everybody on the team doing more damage than their counterparts.
Hey,
on,
Hachani's
Samsung.
on the team.
Well, it was sort of a lost
Johnny
cause.
did more damage too.
After KT wrestled the lead back so early, Samsung needed that 20 to 30 minute window to really take advantage of their composition.
And it was also the KT graph. 4 players did more damage than the highest member of Samsung.
Good stuff for KT. Not so good stuff for Samsung, and you gotta wonder what the heck they're gonna do in game number 3. Who we're gonna see play. Who knows, man? Maybe Dade will make a guest appearance. I've
back.
come out of my Chinese retirement to play another game.
For you, Samsung.
That's right. Well, don't go anywhere, guys. When we come back, KT most likely will be closing out this series 3-0. Samsung, of course, still a chance to bring this one back, but it will be one of the greatest comebacks of all time if they're able to do it. We'll be back on LCK Summer here on OGN right after this.